Welcome back to the channel. This is Music Mojo Jojo. Subscribe if you're new. Today's video I want it to be a little different in air quotes, in that yes, while I still talk about music is the main topic of my channel. Obviously, my first name is Music. This time I want us to talk about more of the visual side, and I want us to extend our media not just from music, but we want to look at Kenyan films, TV, and all that. Like in general, hii topic ya leo, it's all encompassing, so nataka kuangalia everything as a whole. And this time I came a little more prepared than I usually am. Today I'm not freestyling. Today I wrote an essay, very good essay. And I would have made an audio, but that would mean it to me a chat GPT. So I'm just going to sort of like read it, but with the same signature Mojo Jojo charisma that you all know me for. Like, nitakuwa naongeza points here and there whenever necessary, but this is a topic that you just have to see, because yeah, this is one of those videos that might not get many views, I'm fully aware, but this is something that I really wanted to talk about. The other day I was just sitting there listening to music, and there was this song by Naughty Flow called Birthday Cake that I really wanted to see. Afu nikienda YouTube, lo and behold, the song was taken down and nobody has re-uploaded or anything. Like, your video imepotea tu hivyo from the internet. Like, how? That was an amazing video. It was well shot. Hadi alikuwa amelipa this famous actor he was in the video. Naughty Flow shows us her tits, her nipples, but apparently that's wrong in Kenyan media for some reason. So yeah, let's talk about it. So Between the Sheets and the Censors, Chapter 1, The Curious Case of Kenyan Media's Fear of Flesh. Yeah, Kenyan media fears flesh. I don't know why, but let's face it, sex sells. But in Kenya, sex is mostly on layaway. Turn on your TV and you might see guns, blood, corruption, and the occasional pastor being shoved out of a brothel window. But two consenting adults removing socks with intent, no goes on. That's a national scandal. It's a strange paradox. Kenya is a country where we dance to the most explicit songs, I don't have to name any, in public, like it's the national anthem of lust. But the moment someone kisses for more than 3 seconds in a movie, the Kenyan Film Classification Board, also known as KFCB, starts sweating like there's a sinner in church. Take your pick of mainstream Kenyan productions. Nairobi Half-Life, the most well-known Kenyan movie of all time. Sincerely Daisy, Click Click Bang, which is a recent one, I'm sure nyote mnajua hizi. Or even just Selena, these mainstream ones zenye tunazionanga on Citizen TV. The sex scenes, if they exist at all, because let's face it, we're not going to see any sex scenes on daytime TV on Citizen, especially in Kenya, at least not in this decade. I don't know how many decades it will take for us to start being more open-minded to that, but let's face it, we're not saying that. So those sex scenes, if they exist at all, are about as steamy as a cup of lukewarm uji. It's all implied glances, dramatic breathing, and then a quick fade to black. You'd think people in Kenyan films get pregnant from making intense eye contact. The few scenes that dare push boundaries, like in Rafiki, the movie which was banned because of its LGBTQ plus content, they're treated with the same alarm you'd expect if someone had tried to screen Game of Thrones in a Sunday school. Like, bro, relax, it's just a kiss. What's wrong, KFCB, man? What's wrong with you guys? In TV shows like Zora, Maria, or Monica, romance is hinted at but rarely consummated on screen. Lovers kiss briefly on the cheeks, maybe, or a little peck on the lip, hold hands, then dramatically storm off to cry in the rain, or more likely in poorly lit apartments. You're left wondering whether Kenyan characters reproduce by photosynthesis in these weird glances. Like, yes, I know it's good to leave a lot to the imagination, but this is the 21st century to Kenya. Hello? Hello? Anyway, Chapter 2. The case of the disappearing shift in music videos. Now, when it comes to music videos, like the aforementioned Naughty Flow birthday cake music videos, we're dealing with a different beast. In music videos, sexuality isn't just suggested, it's waved in your face like a riot, man. Music videos are Kenya's unofficial Olympics of Westline aerobics. Yeah, like that's where we go to see the women battle it out on the twerking scene, man. Nika an unofficial club. You'll see more suggestive dancing than at a Nairobi nightclub on payday weekend, that's for sure. Take Gengeton, Kenya's own genre of bad behavior. Whether in its formerly glorious days or even in its now watered down version, Ethic, Ochungulo Family, or Saru, the music videos are full of pelvic thrusts, simulated acts that would get you kicked out of a church choir, that's for sure, and lyrics that could give a parent a nervous breakdown. But here's the twist. Even in the vulgarity, the artists draw the line at actual nudity. Everybody is fully dressed, or at least strategically dressed in a manner that there will be no visible nips, no visible cracks, and definitely no visible reproductive organs, which that's another story that we're getting to. You'll rarely see, like, even a bare ass, a naked booty. Okay, I know I'm sounding like a perv here, but stay with me, I have a point. You'll rarely see any nudity. Why? Enter the law, Chapter 3. Nudity in media. The legal tightrope. So, according to the Kenya Film Classification Board Act and the Films and Stage Plays Act, in brackets Cap 222, any public display of obscenity, indecency, or immorality is prohibited. Now, the problem is not necessarily the presence of these laws, but how vague they are. Obscene is in the eye of the bureaucrat. What might be a powerful narrative tool to a filmmaker could be moral decay in the eyes of the KFCB. Like, as an artist, the human body is a tool to tell stories. You're allowed to show a dead body riddled with bullets, but a naked human body being kissed with affection? Oh my god, you're playing with fire now? My friend, oh come on. Nudity is treated like a nuclear weapon. No one wants to use it, but everybody knows the power that it holds. You all know the power that it holds. It's worth noting that these laws were inherited from the colonial era legislation, where morality was defined by Victorian anxiety and not modern reality. And despite some calls for reform, most lawmakers would rather keep the status quo than be known as the MP who legalized buttocks, as if that's a bad thing. We are really at a point where we need to loosen the zip if we want our stories to be taken more seriously, not just by our own adults, but by even people outside. It can't be that you're Kenyan and you've never consumed Kenyan movie, which I know is the case for like a lot of people. And this, I'm not saying this is the only solution. I'm saying this is just one of the baby steps that we need to be making. Yeah, why? And now that brings us to the next chapter, why we need to loosen the zip, artistically speaking, at least. Now, I'm not here advocating for Kenya to turn into a softcore version of Netflix. If you know, you know. No one wants a situation where every storyline develops into a soap opera orgy. But sex and nudity are a part of life. And when depicted with depth, purpose, and artistic care, they become powerful storytelling devices. Imagine a story where a woman's vulnerability in an intimate scene reflects the trauma she's overcoming, or a couple's physical connection mirrors their emotional journey. You cannot tell such stories without occasionally showing skin. And I'm not just talking about elbows, KFCB. Higher those. Like, make them skirts a little bit shorter. Show us a little something. Leave it to the imagination, but I'm just saying, this is how such stories are told with great efficiency. Art needs freedom to explore the full spectrum of the human experience. If artists can't depict sex, nudity, or physical affection without being vilified, then we are left with hollow characters and sanitized narratives that insult our intelligence. We know people have sex. We know people fall in love. We know people cheat. We know people cry. We know people reconnect. And sometimes we know people just want to have a good time with each other. Why can't our media reflect that complexity? Well, let's be clear. Depicting nudity or sex isn't the same as producing pornography. Keep that one line in mind as we go to the next topic, moral versus pornographic nudity. There is a difference. Now let's go back to that line I just said before. Depicting nudity or sex is not the same as producing pornography. One is about storytelling, the other is about stimulation. When done right, a sex scene can reveal emotional truths, vulnerability, power dynamics, or character flaws. It can be beautiful, awkward, funny, or even tragic, but it has a place in the toolbox of any serious filmmaker or storyteller. Kenyan creators shouldn't be forced to write scenes that end with the camera zooming in on a flickering candle, while careless whisper plays in the background, if anything. That's what cheapens the work. When the audience is forced to fill in the gaps or quote-unquote be creative because the artist's hands were tied or censored by the government, KFCB, I'm coming on you very hard on this video. No, an artist shouldn't be, the viewer shouldn't be put in that position just because an artist was censored. Now I want to give my final word on this topic. With pants on or off. I've made a lot of tongue-in-cheek jokes in this video, but yeah, it is what it is. It's time Kenya grew up a little. Not in moral decay, but in artistic maturity. The human body isn't evil, and sex isn't always immoral. The law should protect children from harmful content. Yes, of course, I stand with that. But it should not infantize adults to the extent where adult shows and children shows are just basically the same. We must push for a freer, bolder media landscape. One where stories can be raw, tender, unapologetic, and yes, occasionally steamy. Artists deserve the right to show the fullness of life, including its intimate moments, without fear of censorship or public shaming. In a country where everyone talks about sex in private, it's time we allowed our screens to reflect the same truth, tastefully, intelligently, and with purpose. And if that means one day we get a Kenyan Oscar-worthy film where two people make love instead of awkwardly clinking cups of tea, then pass me the popcorn. It's about damn time. Music Mojo Jojo out. Tafsiri haya.